Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. It's time once again to board the NCC 1701 and go back to where it all started as we watch Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, the third and final season, Episode 19, Requiem for Methuselah. Friends, this is T-6 until we're done the series and starting to get that homesick feeling, but I'm going to enjoy each and every second I get to spend with the original crew because by golly, by gum, they are a part of me now. Friends, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel and it allows me to alert you next time it's time to board the NCC 1701. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You'll get all of our episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes we come up with. But my dear friends, all that is then and this is now, and now it's T-6 as we watch Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 19, Requiem for Methuselah. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Look at that beauty cruising.
Stardate 5843.7.
It's like she's sliding.
Of a raging epidemic. 3
Ooh.
crewmen have died and 23 others have been struck down by Rigelian fever.
Rigelian fever, holy shit.
Our sensors have picked up sufficient quantities of pure Ritalin on a small planet in the Omega system. We are beaming down to secure this urgently needed material.
Wow.
Readings indicate a life form in the vicinity, apparently human. Yet ship's sensors indicated this planet was uninhabited.
A human? This far out? I'm assuming we're far out. By themselves? Oh shit, shoot it. This is Nomad-esque. Let's kill it. Hey, shoot!
Inoperative.
Man, we need to get some phasers that this shit can't happen to. Or we need to start issuing, like, clubs. Things that can't be turned off.
Do not kill.
Cool camera shot.
And if you know who we are, you know why we're here. Mr.
Flint,
Flint?
we'll leave my planet.
Your planet?
You say your planet, sir?
My retreat from the unpleasantness of life on Earth and the company of people.
We'll absolutely be out of here in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
You have nothing I want.
But you have the Ritalin that we need. If necessary, we'll take it.
If you do not leave voluntarily, I have the power to force you to leave or kill you where you stand.
Oh, boy. It's a good thing this guy can be negotiated with. Holy shit. Why can't we ever find people that are reasonable? Because, Greg, then there wouldn't be an episode. That's right. That's right. Jim's telling us about the final frontier, everybody, as we are in the credits. Very cool tracking shot, too, where they must have attached it to the camera rig and probably had an arm off to the side to pull back that probe. That's a cool shot. I like that. Anything that takes longer than a normal shot and you know the setup is time consuming means that the person, the director, wanted that shot. And so anytime I see something out of the ordinary that you know takes time, I always, unless it sucks, which I hardly ever see anything like that, you know, it has to be mentioned because that takes a long time and you're putting yourself out on the limb because you're, you know, if you run a half day over, we've heard what happens, Judd Taylor, to the directors that have that happen to them. So that's who we have, writer and director. Requiem for Methuselah. Jerome Bixby. If it's Judd Taylor, I'm going to shit. Murray Golden. I don't think we've had Mr. Golden.
If anything happens to us, 4 deaths. And then my crew comes down and takes that Ritalin.
Deal Jim in.
Mr. Flint, unless you are certain, I would suggest you refrain from a most useless experiment.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a victim of Rigelian fever? They die in one day. The effects are like bubonic plague.
Constantinople, summer 1334. It marched through the streets, the sewers. rats.
Are you a student of history, sir?
No, you don't get that from books.
I am.
This guy's good.
The Enterprise, a plague ship. You have 2 hours, at the end of which time you will leave.
That's good. We'll do everything.
M4 will gather the right talent which you need.
M4?
Permit me to offer you more comfortable surroundings.
Shit, Jim, you got through to this guy. I mean, that show of force is it, and I think McCoy saying or Plum saying that it was plague. Ooh, look at this! Nice pile of bricks, Flint.
My planet is surrounded by screens which create the impression of lifelessness, a protection against the curious, the uninvited.
That ADR's off, but that's okay. It's a cool shot.
Except for M4, which serves as butler, housekeeper, gardener, and
protector.
Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Shakespeare First Folio, the Gutenberg Bible, the Creation Lithographs by Terra Nullis of Centaurus 7. That's one of the rarest book collections in the galaxies.
Oh, so he lied.
Help yourselves to brandy.
Plum's like, don't mind if I do. If we trust him, I'm drinking.
Well, I'll need 2 hours to process that right talon into antitoxin.
If that right talent isn't here in 1 hour, we'll go prospecting. Right over, Mr. Flint, if necessary.
So that is a Vulcan. I would like to discuss subdimensional physics with him.
Even he is not your intellectual equal, nor mine.
Let me meet them.
They are selfish, brutal.
Soon they will be gone. Let me meet them.
Reyna, have you been lonely?
What is loneliness?
If you describe it, she's going to say yes. Ah, that little touch.
Exciting. You have never made a demand of me before.
It's a request. It's not a demand.
It might be interesting.
This guy is exceptionally good.
Sorry and brandy, 100 years old.
I told you. I got people dying up there, but damn it, I'm thirsty, Jim.
All too human vice.
Thank you, Doctor. I will have a brandy.
What?
If I appear distracted, it is because of what I have seen.
Because I am.
Close to experiencing an unaccustomed emotion.
What?
What emotion?
Envy. None of these Da Vinci paintings has ever been cataloged or reproduced.
Wow.
Yet my tricorder analysis indicates that the canvas and pigments used are of contemporary origin.
Spock, at your earliest opportunity, take a full tricorder reading of our host, see if he's human.
We said we read a human. Only one, though. Kill it with fire.
Easy.
He's going to drop it right off. Scoop. Probably going to need more than that.
And when you are satisfied as to procedures, I hope you will do me the honor of being my guest at dinner.
What's happened, Flint? Jim? Things are going well.
May I present Reyna?
Your...
Mr. Spock, I do hope we can find a moment to discuss field density and its relationship to gravity phenomena.
Indeed.
I am already envious.
Captain Kirk?
Reyna.
Jim.
Before dying, they placed their infant, Reyna Kopek, in my custody.
Really? Parents died in his...
Flint is my teacher. You are the only other men I've ever seen.
The misfortune of men everywhere.
Plum. Everybody. Bring it down a little bit. This guy's obviously powerful.
Your pleasure, gentlemen. Chess, billiards, conversation.
Well, I mean, he's just the greatest host ever now. Jim. For God's sakes, Jim. We got dying people up on the ship. Very well done. There's a top missing on that door, so they were able to carry it in. I'm assuming through wire work. I'm gonna vomit real quick. It's a little unsteady, but Jesus. Give me some Dramamine.
Did you teach her that?
We play often.
May I show you, Captain?
Jim, God's sakes.
If we were barbarians, we would not have asked for right talent. Indeed, your greeting, not ours, lacked a certain benevolence.
Jim.
To be human is to be complex. You can't avoid a little ugliness from within and from without.
Thank you, Spock.
May I have the pleasure?
Thank you.
Jim, there's no need for this. It's an interesting color effect they're using because her clothing has like a ribbon of color that's very similar to the walls. They're doing a damn good job with this thing. Very different episode. We haven't had any conflict yet. I mean, other than that initial little brush up we had, but... The world before Steadicams. Jim! For fuck's sake, Kirk! I can see where the conflict's coming from. The problem with doing a shot like that with a handheld, it's creating too much tension for a scene that's not supposed to be tense. And so when you have that jittery, it puts the audience off kilter. And you don't need that for this scene.
I've never seen anything like the speed of that robot. It'd take us twice as long to process that stuff.
But would we have made the error?
Jim, what if all the right talent on this planet contains beryllium?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that.
Something else which is rather extraordinary. This waltz I just played is by Johannes Brahms.
It's an original composition.
Definitely the work of Brahms, and yet unknown.
I think I will go to the laboratory.
Jim, are you listening to this? I mean, he's got original works throughout this whole thing. I think our guy's a little bit long-lived, and the Methuselah our title definitely keys towards that. So if he's human, because they registered one human, so if it's Flint and he's human, he's immortal or something like that. And it could be her, though. Maybe he's not even human. We haven't had that full tricorder reading yet.
When I would search myself.
Are you troubled now?
Yes.
By what?
Jim, we need to really we need to reel this back in a little bit.
Are you happy here?
Jesus, Jim.
He's the greatest, kindest, wisest man in the galaxy.
Remember we were worried about the Enterprise and wasting time? Jim.
Don't be afraid.
I'm a little afraid, Jim. You're acting kind of creepy. The hell are we doing here? Jim has like literally never acted like this. Unless he's like using his seduction stuff.
Stop!
Whoa, where'd that come from? We got the phaser working. So where were we? Jim! What is going on? This is insanity.
It thought you were attacking Reyna. A misinterpretation.
If it were around right now, it would correct.
You mean this one? Meet M5.
I'm glad he did not die.
Of course. Death, when unnecessary, is a tragic thing.
When unnecessary.
You have seen that my defense systems operate automatically, and not always in accordance with my wishes.
Is this a test? Is this like him putting...
Come, Reyna.
Okay, no, he's bringing her with him.
I don't like the way he orders her around.
Oh, Jim, I mean...
Pay less attention to the young lady if you should encounter her again. Our host's interests do not appear to be confined to art and science.
Thank you, Spock.
He suggested we dance.
It does appear to defy the male logic, as I understand it.
He knows he can kill you like that. That's my guess.
The planet was purchased 30 years ago by a Mr. Brack, a wealthy financier and recluse.
Brack?
I was able to run a tricorder scan on Mr. Flint. He is human. But there are certain biophysical peculiarities. Some body function readings are disproportionate. Extreme age is indicated, on the order of 6,000 years.
Wow.
It's keeping the processing this time.
The delay may be deliberate.
Yeah, see, he's recording all this. This is like an experiment.
It's logical to assume that we are being monitored and that he is aware of our every move.
Spock's the problem.
Have I lied to you?
Never.
Believe what I say. I would not want Captain Kirk dead.
Okay.
There's no record of a Reina Kopek in Federation legal banks.
No background at all in any computer banks. Like Flint.
What about her parents? Did he make her?
What hold does he have over her?
Captain, I would suggest that our immediate concern is the right Talon.
Man, Jim is like crazy distracted by her. I've never seen him like this.
I'll meet you in the lab.
It's not a great idea.
I've come to say goodbye.
I don't want to say goodbye.
Jeez, oh Pete. This is insanity. I just don't see Jim being... this is reckless. And Jim can be a risk taker, but he's not reckless. This is reckless. This is like threatening the life of your entire crew for this right Talon if you piss off Flint, which you're going to piss off Flint. Spock warned you multiple times.
A last tender encounter, Captain Kirk, to end your usefulness.
Oh boy.
Come with me. I offer you happiness.
He has to be under the effects of something. Brandy, maybe?
You love me, not Flint.
Is he testing Reyna? I'm very confused. But this is not Jim.
Apparently the right Talon is behind this door.
Oh boy. We're going to look behind the wizard's curtain or in the killer's basement.
Let's not disappoint the chess master. Phasers on full.
As the door opens.
There may be dangers within.
Let's find out.
And
let me go alone, Captain.
You're not thinking straight, Jim. Oh, it's not just one room. It's a huge complex. There's the right Talon, yeah.
The right Talon.
Well, scan it. Make sure it doesn't have that shit in it. Reina 16. Oh, shit. Spock suspected it. How many? 15, 14. Holy shit. Why are you keeping the bodies, though? Is there a Reina 1 that might actually have been human?
We have accomplished our mission and have the right Talon ready to combat the epidemic aboard the Enterprise.
Different hair?
He has created the perfect woman. Her only flaw, she's not human.
Explain this.
She's an android.
Oh, okay.
Created here by my hand.
Why's your hand in your pocket, bud?
Your collection of Leonardo da Vinci masterpieces, Mr. Flint. They appear to have been recently painted. And on your piano, a waltz by Johannes Brahms.
I am Brahms.
And Da Vinci. Holy shit.
Solomon, Alexander, Lazarus, Methuselah, Merlin, Abramson, 100 other names you do not know.
Merlin.
In that region of Earth later called Mesopotamia, in the year 3834 BC.
Holy shit.
I fell in battle, pierced to the heart, and did not die. Pretend to age and then move on before my nature was suspected.
You knew the greatest minds in history.
Galileo, Socrates, Moses.
I
have married 100 times, Captain. Selected, loved, cherished.
Children?
Age, death, the taste of dust. Do you understand?
This guy's really good.
Ultimate woman.
That wouldn't die.
As brilliant, as immortal as yourself.
There we go.
I could not love her more.
Spock, you knew?
Suspected.
You cannot love an android, Captain. I love her. She is my handiwork, my property. She is what I desire.
You brought me here to learn this?
You will stay.
What?
We have discovered what he is, Captain.
If you leave, the curious would follow. The foolish, the meddlers, the officials, the seekers.
Kirk Enterprise. Clear out of the area.
Wait, what? What?
Your crew is not dead, but suspended.
Worse than dead. Restore them. Restore my ship.
In time, 1,000, 2,000 years.
What?
Tonight, I've seen something wondrous, something I've waited for, labored for. Nothing must endanger it.
She can express love.
Reyna.
You must not do this to them.
I must.
What will you feel for him after we are gone?
Nothing. This guy's like Henry Pym. Well, Pym particles on it.
Because you knew I could bring her emotions alive.
And now you're just going to take over?
I shall take what is mine when she comes to me.
God.
You must forget your feelings in this matter, which is quite impossible for you.
Impossible.
This is not Jim. Oh, this is...
But I do love her.
Why, Jim?
And she loves me.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Primitive impulses will not alter the circumstances.
Stay out of this. We're fighting over a woman.
No, you're not. For she is not.
Pinch him. Dear God.
Cannot be the cause of this.
She's gonna kill herself.
Please, stop.
Listen to her.
I choose.
Reyna!
No. Do not order me.
Uh-oh.
She's free to do as she wishes.
Gentlemen, I urge you to stop. There is a danger.
Yes.
To be as she wills. To do as she wills. To think as she wills.
That's what I've worked for.
Come with me.
Stay.
I mean, this is like two people calling to a puppy. This is ridiculous.
I was not.
Spock called this.
I love.
What happened?
She loved you, Captain. And you too, Mr. Flint. As a mentor, even as a father. There was not enough time for her to adjust to the awful power and contradictions of her newfound emotions.
Oh, man.
The joys of love made her human, and the agonies of love
Killed her.
destroyed her.
Jeez, oh, Pete. Big or little, she's a beauty.
Only I could forget.
Your report, Doctor.
Oh, those tricorder readings on Mr. Flint have finally correlated.
Yeah.
He's dying. You see, Flint, in leaving Earth with all of its complex fields within which he was formed, sacrificed immortality. Yes, I told him myself he intends to devote the remainder of his years and great abilities to the improvement of the human condition. You wouldn't understand that, would you, Spock?
He understands it better than
See,
anybody.
I feel sorrier for you than I do for him. Because you'll never know the things that love can drive a man to.
Who says?
All of these things you'll never know, simply because the word love isn't written into your book. Good night, Spock.
Good night, Doctor.
Thanks for the tongue lashing. Spock.
Forget.
Holy shit. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about this. Oh my God. All right, everybody, we just finished watching the 19th episode of the third and final season of Star Trek, the original series, Requiem for Methuselah. And the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everybody, we just finished watching Requiem for Methuselah, the 19th episode of the third and final season of Star Trek, the original series. I'm rushed to get here. Friends, I've been working on something because as I started to watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I was trying to kind of reconcile canonically in my mind what was going on. And I don't want to spoil too much because I don't know who's watched, Strange New Worlds, and I certainly don't want to take away certain plot points. But let's just say that there is a relationship type of thing that goes on that I was very curious about how that would translate to the original series, because in the original series, we have hints of this relationship. And I'm just going to go ahead and, spoiler alert, if you have not seen Strange New Worlds. I'll give you a beat. They kind of push from what I've seen so far, and I've seen the first season and parts of the second season, which I'm going to rectify soon. they begin to promote a relationship of based in love. It certainly looks like an actual love relationship between Spock and Chapel. And so as I'm watching, I'm enjoying it. I think it's great, and I think that they're playing it really well. But I'm thinking to myself, the original series comes after that. The original series comes after Strange New Worlds. And so I was thinking to myself, we definitely see numerous examples in the original series where Chapel has absolutely some type of affection for Spock. I think the most that we see that is in Plato's Stepchildren. In Plato's Stepchildren, we see the kiss between Uhura and Kirk, and then we also have that moment between Spock and Chapel, where she says, "I've always wanted to get close to you." I mean, it's probably the biggest proclamation of, and she's always kind of in the first two seasons. If Spock is out of sorts, she's there to try to help. And again, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it's there. And so I was thinking to myself, there's no real reason why she wouldn't have if they're going canonically by Strange New Worlds, this developing relationship is advanced beyond what we see in the original series. My speculation was, as I was going through, because I have seen Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I know that, again, spoiler alert, but I'm sure no one's. At the end of that one, we have the hand held to McCoy's face, and Spock says, "Remember." And I was thinking to myself, could he do forget? And now we have that. So, friends, my whole thing is this. If at the end of Strange New Worlds, like if this progresses to the point where Spock and Chapel can't, Spock can't be with Chapel, they're both distraught over it. Can he make them, or can another Vulcan make them forget? I'm very curious about that. I thought there's no precedent for that, but now in Requiem for Methuselah, we have that. So tangent over, but I wanted to get that out because I've been thinking about that ever since I started watching Strange New Worlds. All right, so for this episode, I actually really, really thought that it was a solid ass episode. I thought that it was set up really well. Even like Flint's kind of, wanting to observe and see how Reyna performed, basically, trying to awaken these feelings. I get it. I completely understand that. It's almost like being around different humans would exponentially kind of update her emotional profile as an android. She'd see all these different emotions. She'd experience all these different emotions, and thus be able to, in theory, replicate them, or have them have access to these emotions once everybody else leaves and it's just she and Flint left on the planet. My big problem with all this is they could have easily done something to work this out, but they made Jim act not like Jim Kirk. I mean, the full stop. He acted not like himself at all. In fact, if someone were to see Requiem for Methuselah in a vacuum and by itself, and then say, "Hey, what's Jim Kirk like in Star Trek: The Original Series?" They'd say, "Oh, he's a woman. He's just, you can't get it. He can't get out of his own way. He just falls all over these girls. And he's kissing them and all this stuff." That is not Jim. We've seen this. Jim has fallen in love, but it has been, over a prolonged period of time, where he falls in love. It's not like immediate where he falls in love. I mean, he'll recognize beauty. He'll recognize someone that he might be attracted to, but he doesn't just do this shit where he falls in love and just fawns over people. And his ship, his number one love, the Enterprise, was in orbit, crew dying, and he all of a sudden becomes like so infatuated with Reyna, he forgets, he risks the idea of not being able to get the antidote or the vaccine components. I mean, come on, that is not Jim at all. Jim never would have done that. He never would have done that. I think that it was an incredibly, incredibly damaging little bit there for the character of Jim Kirk. I wonder what Bill Shatner thought about this. I actually wonder what everyone thought about this because, Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley have been around and seen Kirk, as portrayed by Bill, throughout the entire run of this series. They couldn't have looked at that and been like, why is Kirk acting like this? He's never acted like this before. And I mean, yes, there are tons of examples where we could say, Kirk deployed his seduction. completely different. When he deploys his seduction, it is to help the ship, to help the mission, to help, get where they need to, from point A to point B. At no point do we as the audience ever think he's not doing this just as it's one of his utility belt tools. He pulls it out and uses it when nothing else works. When his other kind of avenues of approach are blocked, he goes with the seduction thing. It's worked more often than it's not, too, so it definitely has paid dividends, but at the same time, it's not him falling in love. It's not him wanting to, get with somebody or anything like that. Kind of like we're led to believe here, like he just couldn't control himself. My whole thing with this is if that's the approach you wanted to go and you wanted to have, they needed Jim Kirk to be this emotional, falling all over her, put something in the brandy, put something in the drink. He drinks it and then, we get a little hint of it, not enough for McCoy to scan him or anything like that. And then he falls into it. You could have the exact same thing play out. You could even have him think that he was in love with her and have these problems that forces Spock to say, hey, forget. Not that I can rewrite the original series. Who the fuck am I to be able to say anything like that? I'm just saying, as an observer and somebody that has now watched the majority of the original series and loved nearly every bit of it, alternative factor, I have to give it shit when I have the chance, friends. But what my point with all this is, we were given a portrayal of Jim Kirk that could have been explained, but they chose not to. And they went instead with just, oh, he falls in love. He's never done that quickly. Can Jim fall in love? Absolutely. We've seen it with Edith Keeler, but it takes time. Jim is not a sexual creature in that he sees something and he's like, oh, I got to conquer that sexually or something like that, and that's love to Jim. It is not. That is not love to Jim at all. Jim is here. He gets an emotional connection with somebody. I mean, just think of The City on the Edge of Forever. I mean, he had to spend, and we watched him fall in love. We watched him, we felt it, we knew it. We thought, oh my God, he has to go through this horror, this nightmare scenario now. And, again, there was none of that. It was almost like he was like drugged. Like, he was just wild-eyed and all this horse shit. It was a real disservice. It was a real disservice. It very similar to That Which Survives did a complete disservice to Spock with how it was portrayed and made him like a huge asshole and like he was just like a biting prick. This I thought was a huge disservice to Jim because again, if somebody hasn't seen a whole lot of the original series and they stumble upon this episode 2, 3 in the rotation, they're going to look at Kirk in an entirely different light. It'll take forever to kind of get that taste out of your mouth of Requiem for Methuselah's Kirk. Oh, I don't like it. And the problem is, I think that the entire episode was actually really well done. I think that the entire episode had a lot of promise. And you could have, if with that one little thing for me, you could have really made it work. You really could have made it work. Or, give them a longer time period. They have to be on planet for a week or 2 weeks. If you legitimately want, Kirk to fall in love, do it the way that we all expect him to fall in love. Over time, when he has a connection with somebody, not this love at first sight shit. Jim's not built that way. Unless you are wearing the colors of the NCC 1701, Jim is not falling in love with you love at first sight. He might think there's somebody that's attractive, or there's somebody that's nice, or there's somebody that's smart, or there's somebody that's, I can talk to, or blah, 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 fill in the blank for thing that Jim's like, and that could grow to something else, like Edith. But, again, this is just ridiculous, especially with the crew and the ship being in trouble, him to kind of just push all that, his duty to the side, the ship to the side, the ship? Are you kidding me? Come on. Anyway, friends, I know there's a lot more that went on behind the scenes of Requiem for Methuselah, and you know where I'm going with this. There's only one real person we can ask and pray that they have all the answers. They don't always have all the answers, but they've got some. General? Greetings and salutations, my friends. 'Tis I, leader of men, lover of women, and best friend to Jim Kirk, General Trelane. retired. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to an original series episode of Star Trek, I like to dig a little bit deeper and find out what went on behind the cameras. Things that if I had looked up beforehand would have ruined it for me. But to keep myself from wandering off into the weeds for 3 hours, I've given myself 5 categories to discuss. The first of which, writer and director. Who were they? The second, guest stars, did we have any? The third, of the core cast, or the Big 8, who was present? The fourth, production notes, the juiciest of all of the categories. We find out what went on behind the cameras. And last, but certainly not least, our fifth category, a memorable quote from this episode. Let's get started. And now, friends, for our very first category of writer and director. First off, who was our writer? Well, we had a returning vet, a returning champion here, friends, as the writer last seen in Day of the Dove and probably first seen in Mirror Mirror. Jerome Bixby returns to write this episode. And now, who was our director? Well, on the opposite end of the experience in the original series spectrum, we have Murray Golden, who is a rookie for the original series. So, the coming together of two great minds resulted in this episode for good or ill. Friends, let's move on. And now, friends, for our second category of guest stars, did we have any? Well, obviously, we had two very prominent ones in James Daly as Flint and Louise Sorrell as Raina. More on them when we get down to production notes. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our third category of the core cast, or the Big 8, who was present in this episode. So who are our Big 8? Well, we've got Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Scotty, Uhura, and we also have Chekhov and Chapel. In this one, we had no Sulu, no Chekhov, and no Chapel. Whew, we're almost halfway down on the Big 8 there. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our fourth category, production notes. Of our production, what are some of the spicy details that went on behind the cameras? Let's get started. All right, friends, and for our first production note, I thought this was an interesting one to start with. In fact, I have several extra production notes in this one because I couldn't edit any of them down. I thought most of them were really good. In this one, our actor that plays Raina, Louise Sorrell, also played with William Shatner in an episode of Route 66. The episode's title was Build Your Houses with Their Backs to the Sea, which is a great title. Very interesting, too, and in that one, they also played lovers, which I thought was, not that they were actually consummated lovers in this episode, but still, romantically inclined, and they worked very well together. Good energy. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our second production note, whenever we saw old M4 show up, we knew that there was a very Nomad-esque quality to him, her, whoever the M4 happens to be. But that was very warranted because the bottom half of M4 was Nomad. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our third production note, and this is the one that I talked about a lot in the thoughts section, where we have, in this one, Spock leans down and uses his Vulcan mind abilities to help Kirk presumably forget about Raina. And in The Wrath of Khan, spoiler alert, I won't say exactly in case somebody out there hasn't seen, I've even seen Wrath of Khan, he tells somebody to remember. And again, like I speculated at the end of watching the episode, that's an out for the creators of Strange New Worlds. If they want to make somebody forget about something so it can canonically fit with the original series, they've got a bit of an out there. I'm not sure how well liked that would be, but it was provided in the original series that if Spock wants to make somebody forget something, apparently he can. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our fourth production note, this is one of 24 Star Trek episodes that actually has a title that is in some way derived from the Bible. We've seen a lot of examples of that. A lot actually in season 3 as well. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our fifth production note, this is a very interesting one because at the 11th hour, just before the draft script became the shooting script for this episode, the studio and standards and practices took one more pass through it. And they found that a couple of the identities that Flint had assumed throughout his very long life needed to be removed because they could provide a problem. 2 of them for religious reasons, 1 of them for legal reasons. Let's go ahead with the first 2. Flint was also in the draft that almost became the shooting script. He was also revealed to have been both Moses and Jesus. So, for reasons of not wanting to offend anybody religiously, it was asked and granted that that be removed from the script. The third identity that was given to Flint, or that Flint said that he was Pablo Picasso. Now, the problem legally with that one was Picasso was still alive. And if you basically assume someone's identity, likeness, that type of kind of thing, you could open yourself up to legal ramifications. The studio wanted none of that. And so all three were left out. Let's move on. Now, this is what I thought was really interesting. The Brahms piece that Spock plays, the actual music was written by Ivan Ditmars, and the sheet music that was shown was an actual Brahms composition. It was from his 16 waltzes. So I thought it was really neat that they went out of their way to provide not only original Brahms music as written by Ivan Ditmars, but again, to even go so far as to show sheet music that was also Brahms. I mean, I know that they wouldn't have zoomed in on it if it had been anything else, but at the same time, it's an attention to detail that we have to note in season 3 because we know how under the gun they are for absolutely everything, especially with budget, time, just respect. It was across the board. So to take your time and do anything and make sure it's done right, I always tip the old cap because season 3 was a gauntlet. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our 5th and final category, a memorable quote from this episode. Well, friends, I can guarantee one thing about this quote. Throughout all of my Q&As, throughout the entirety of the series, of the original series so far, this one is and will be the shortest. The quote is as follows: "Forget." As delivered by Spock at the end of the episode, presumably to help Kirk forget Reyna. And friends, the implications of that ability and that one word will linger even into present-day Star Trek if my theory is to see fruition. Thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until such time as you and I get a chance to play with our dear friend Jim again, behave yourselves.